Hey, what's up, Sports Fury Nation? We're back with another divisional outlook video.
Yeah.
This time we're headed to the AFC North. And joining us for the AFC North is none other than IngravenVids. Welcome to the Sports Fury.
What's up, man?
Hey, appreciate y'all having me on. Team Keep It Clean. What's going on? Everybody from the Sports Fury Nation. Appreciate y'all, man.
We're so glad to have you on and get your insight. The AFC North, I think, is going to be very interesting going into 2018. A lot of moves being made, especially by the Browns. Oh, my goodness.
It's going to be interesting.
I want to get your thoughts from going from last year and transitioning to this year. Last year, the Steelers, of course, they won the division 13-3. But the Ravens, you guys were second place at 9-7. But I felt you guys were so much better than 9-7.
Yeah.
You guys have a really good balanced team over there in Baltimore. And you guys made some good moves going into 2018.
Yeah, it was real important for them to upgrade the offense because the offense has been. When you think of Baltimore, you never think of offense, and there's a reason for that because we never have been really strong on offense consistently. I mean, we had 2014 where we had our best offense in history, but just matching that up with a lot of different offenses in the NFL that have been good consistently, it doesn't really match up to those. So we had to upgrade the offense. And hopefully with the receivers that we got, like a Michael Crabtree, a Willie Snead, John Brown, more so John Brown and Willie Snead, they were sort of cast-offs from their other teams. But hopefully when they get this new life with the Ravens, they can really just make it happen, man.
Are you more confident with this wide receiving core this year as it was last year with the loss of Jeremy Maclin and Mike Wallace?
I am. But I still have a lot of question marks on him. Crabtree, I feel like Crabtree and Snead, I'm fine with those two. John Brown, I just feel like I don't know too much about him because I just haven't seen him too much. Right. So I'm hoping that he can stay healthy. I know he's been injured a lot, so I'm hoping that injury bug doesn't continue to follow him and bite him this year. Because Baltimore is known for injuries. We always got like 50,000 people on injury reserve every single year. So hopefully that trend can be stopped this year.
Yeah, John Brown.
Brayers know a little bit something about that injury.
Oh, too. Yes, we do. But John Brown, if he can stay healthy, that's a guy. He's a speed demon.
Yeah, he had a lot of injury issues, especially migraines in his days with the Cardinals. Man, he does not stop with the migraines. Man, that's kind of scary. Yeah,
and your draft this past offseason, it was great. Hayden Hurst getting him tight end. That's going to be a huge weapon for Joe Flacco because he loves those tight ends.
Dude, I've been saying that for the last 2 years. I was like, last year y'all get a tight end, then y'all didn't get him last year. Then this year, when I want a tight end on my Cowboys, y'all get them all. And I was like, dang it.
Now, I want to get your thoughts on Lamar Jackson. You guys drafted him. Ingraven, Sean is not high on Lamar Jackson. He hated that pick for you guys, but how do you feel about Lamar?
I feel like with Lamar Jackson, he's a future of the Ravens, and I feel like with Ravens, the offense has just been so dead in the water for so long, and I feel like they just wanted to make a dramatic shift with the offense because Flacco, he's an average quarterback. With Flacco, you know what you have in Flacco. I feel like his ceiling has been hit. Hopefully he proves me wrong this year, but I'm not counting on it. But he's a 22 touchdown, 10, 12 interception type of quarterback. And he's like that every year, no matter who the weapons are. And that's just how he averages. But with Lamar, I feel like they know what they have in Flacco. And this is actually, after this year, this will be the first year where they don't have any more guaranteed money on Flacco's deal. So just the timing of everything with Lamar Jackson, it makes a lot of sense. Even when they signed RG3, I think they sort of wanted to just shift the way the offense is. And they didn't want a conventional quarterback. They wanted to change things up because even last year, I think they've been planning on this for the past couple of years because even last year, they wanted to sign Colin Kaepernick. We all know how that went and all that stuff on the side that happened.
Yeah.
And then they actually offered RG3 a deal last year. Not just this year. They offered him a deal last year, but he turned it down because he said he didn't feel like he was ready. So it seems like they were trying to go to the non-conventional type of quarterback last year and sort of prepare themselves to make that shift. And then, of course, this year they actually signed RG3 and then drafted Lamar Jackson. So I think just with Flacco, I think everything this year is so critical for him because if he doesn't go out there and absolutely kill it, then Flacco could be on up out of here, and Lamar Jackson that could break him in.
Right, because Lamar Jackson, he's been looking good in training camp, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, and that guy he's fast, man. And I just seeing him run yesterday, he wasn't even going full speed, but the guy is so fast, man. And one of the things I did notice about him, a few of his throws, he threw it a little bit too high, but at the same time, he's a rookie. It's training camp. This is the perfect place to do that. So I wasn't mad at it at all, man.
Yeah. Okay. Now, your team wasn't the only one who made a big splash. The Browns probably made one of the biggest splashes in the offseason. They made so many moves. They went out and got Tyrod Taylor from the Browns. They picked up Jarvis Landry. Who else they got? Sean?
They got talking about free agency or in the draft?
Yeah, free agency.
Free agency. They got
Carlos Hyde.
Randall.
Carlos Hyde, right?
Yeah, Carlos Hyde. Randall from the Packers. They traded Sean Kaiser.
Yeah. Janis. Yep. Yeah. And then in the draft.
Yes. We already know this. One of the most surprising first overall picks. I don't think anybody heard about this coming or saw this coming. Baker Mayfield, man.
And they also picked up Denzel Ward. They needed a corner. Yes. They got to shore up that secondary. Yeah. And they got Nick Chubb. So their running backs are really nice and deep with Chubb, Hyde, Duke Johnson Jr. Yeah. And so what do you think about the Browns and what they were doing this offseason? Are you kind of looking at them going, okay, here these guys come?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've been saying all offseason, I don't want it to happen, but I feel like we're gonna split with the Browns, man. I feel like we're gonna split with the Browns. Browns they've been bringing it to us for so long and just coming up short just each time. But I feel like this year, just like their receiving core, if their receiving core can stay healthy, like Josh Gordon, Coleman, Jarvis Landry. Yep. And it's a receiver they drafted from Florida. I know they said he dropped due to behavior issues. I forgot his name though. And then of course their tight end, Joku. Then their running back, like you mentioned, Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson is a beast, man. Duke Johnson is a monster, man. This guy can run, he can catch, he can do everything. Yeah. So. And whether they start Tyrod Taylor, whether they start Baker Mayfield, I feel like it's almost a win-win situation for him. Yeah. Tyrod, I'm obviously pretty familiar with him because he was a Raven before, and just watching him and rooting for him in Buffalo, just because he was a former Raven, I was biased to him. But with Tyrod Taylor, he doesn't throw all the touchdowns in the world, but he doesn't turn the ball over. He's super careful with the ball, and that will be something that will help the Browns out tremendously. And if their defense can just be on point, they're scary, man.
Yeah, the Browns last year were in so many games, but Sean Kaiser led the league in interceptions, right? Yep. You can't do that, and it's not like they had a bad defense or anything like that.
Right, so, they were 14th overall last year.
Yeah, and they had one of the best run defenses, if I recall. So they're top 10 in run. So they have the potential, and they made a lot of changes. But I'm liking these moves by Hugh Jackson, man.
Oh yeah. The Cleveland Browns. They're a team that we're hyping up on. We're excited for Hard Knocks to come out. In fact, we're gonna go see the Browns play in person when they come out to Texas. We're gonna see them against the Houston Texans, Week 13.
Nice.
We want to see them in person as they're up and coming because we like seeing these kind of teams on the rise. Now let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. Now they made a couple of offseason moves addressing their offensive line, which was one of the worst last year in free agency and in the draft. They picked up Cordy Glenn and they lost Joe Thomas, so they really needed that. And then they drafted
the Bengals. That was the Browns that lost Joe Thomas.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That was Joe Thomas.
Yeah,
my bad. Yeah,
all good.
But they picked up Cordy Glenn, the Cincinnati Bengals, and they drafted Billy Price.
Yes, the center.
But is it going to be enough? I mean, that offensive line was just trash.
They were atrocious last year. Oh my god.
I feel like with Bengals, I feel like their issue is never talent. I feel like their biggest issue is coaching. Because Andy Dalton, he's somebody, he can get it done, but he's frustrated. And just thinking about him is frustrating for me, so I can imagine Bengals fans. Yeah. But he has the weapons. I mean, he got one of the best receivers in the league with A.J. Green. He got Joe Mixon at running back. Oh, and if Ross can be anything, then they'll be set for a little while, man. Yeah. And their defense can cause turnovers. Of course, Vontaze Burfict. He's a beast. I mean, he was a beast all last year until Juju knocked him out. Yeah. But They have potential, but I feel like it's just coaching is their biggest problem. It's their biggest problem.
When they kept Marvin Lewis,
oh man, that was so puzzling to me.
I was just scratching my head for a week. I didn't understand it.
I thought he should have been fired, but then they extended him and then gave him more power.
Yeah.
So I'm totally lost. The owner apparently loves him, so we're gonna have to see how that turns out.
The Bengals offense last year, they were horrible.
They were the worst, right?
They were the worst. They were worse than the Browns were.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to make a big leap forward this year because like you were mentioning, their weapons.
Yeah.
They got a ton of them. And if that offensive line could be just a little bit better, not just the absolute worst.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Mixon, I think this dude is going to break out.
I feel like they're going to have to get some kind of running game. Like, no matter how good your passing game is, how good of talent you have, they were 31st last year in the rushing game. They got to get better at that.
It will get better.
It'll get better. Billy Price, adding a center does actually help with that, making adjustments, making calls. They're pretty much the quarterback of the offensive line. So
that's true.
Billy Price could really make an upgrade there. So we'll have to see how it all develops, though.
Yeah. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Man, they didn't do too much. I mean, they added what was it? Morgan Burnett, John Bostic, who used to play for the Chicago Bears, and they drafted Terrell Edmonds in the draft, safety. I thought that was a pretty good draft. And they drafted Mason Rudolph,
quarterback, right?
Yeah, for the future.
And James Washington,
James
receiver,
Oklahoma
State.
That's right. Yeah.
And so they added some defense, a little bit of offense, so they're trying to keep it balanced.
So I feel like the AFC North, going into 2018 is going to just be very interesting. This is going to be one of the funnest divisions to look out for. I always think that the rivalry games between all y'all's teams is always fun to watch.
No matter how good or bad each team is.
That's true, man.
You know you're going to get a good game.
That's true. And right now, unfortunately, for me, if I had to pick one team to win the division right now, it would be Pittsburgh. The reason it would be Pittsburgh, the only reason it would be Pittsburgh and not the Ravens is because with the Ravens, I'm still unsure about their receivers. I don't trust them yet, but I'm hoping they can earn my trust. But with Pittsburgh, Big Ben, Juju, Antonio Brown, and whoever else they have in receipt, I feel like it doesn't even matter with Pittsburgh. That's why I wish Ravens would hire their wide receiver coach, pay him however much money you want to, or however much money you can, just bring him over because that's our weakness is wide receiver, and that's one of their biggest strengths is wide receiver, and just their offense. And of course, Le'Veon Bell, I don't expect him to hold out during the season, but hey, I won't be mad if he does. Le'Veon Bell, do your thing. If you want to stay away from them, hey, by all means, have at it. But if they're just dangerous, they're super dangerous on offense, but their defense has been a weakness. But I do like the pickup of John Bostic. I remember there was one play he made in Chicago where he just whacked somebody and like laid him out.
That's what we do, baby. That's what we do.
So yeah, they obviously needed a middle linebacker with the loss of Ryan Shazier because you saw just their defense was never their strong point last year, but you could see how they just collapsed when Ryan Shazier went out. It ended up bad for them. So
that's definitely true.
Yeah. So talking about the defenses, like who's gonna have the top defense from the AFC North? Is it gonna be the Steelers? No, I think I'm going to have to go with the Steelers being the top defense.
You're going to keep them up there?
Yeah.
They had the best last year among the division, right?
I think they're still a top 7 defense, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I would, and even though some people may be like, "Oh, IngravenVids probably being biased because he's a Ravens fan," no, I do think it would be the Ravens. Reason being because their defense is intact from last year. They have all 11 starters back. The biggest issue with the Ravens has been health. Jimmy and the main person who affects the defense, it's not C.J. Mosley, it's not Terrell Suggs, it's not Brandon Williams, but the biggest person that affects that defense has been Jimmy Smith. Reason I say Jimmy Smith is because he can be a top corner, but he's one of those if-but players. He can be a top corner if he stayed healthy. He can be a top corner, but he's always hurt. So if he can stay healthy, then that just means so much for the defense. Eric Weddle and Tony Jefferson to another year for them. And they said that they're going to actually use Tony Jefferson the right way because our defensive coordinator, who's been there since I think 2011, 2012, Dean Pease, he didn't put people in positions to succeed. He didn't use them to their strengths, and that ended up being a weakness for the Ravens. So people would be out of position. People would be doing things they didn't normally do. People would be doing things they weren't drafted for doing. So that ended up being a weakness. But this new defensive coordinator, he said they're going to actually let the Ravens be free, let them be more loose, let them actually call adjustments at the line or before the plays. Okay. That was something that I didn't even know that they weren't allowed to do that in Dean Pease defense. Because I'm like, man, you got guys like Terrell Suggs, you got guys like Eric Weddle, you got guys like C.J. Mosley, you got guys that have been here for a while, especially the first two, and they can't even call their own plays. It's like, wow, what is that? Yeah. But now they're actually going to be given that freedom to call their own plays, and with that, it can be a high risk, high reward thing because if you're calling your own plays, you might be a little more aggressive. So you may be getting back there to the quarterback and whatever, generating more blitzes and whatever. But at the same time, you do run that risk of more plays going for deep passes, just giving up more yards here and there. So, but I think it should work out. But yeah, with all 11 players coming back, and with the new defensive coordinator, and with more freedom, I just think Ravens they should be able to be the top defense in the AFC North for sure. Okay.
Interesting, and you made a very good point. Very good point.
I like
a lot of points actually.
Yeah,
okay. But I'm going Ravens number 2.
I'm going Steelers number 1, kind of where you were. This is where it gets a little tough for me, because like you said, injuries and stuff like that with the Ravens, and but am I crazy? I might have the Browns number 2.
Browns number.
I know Graven's gonna hate me after this. He's never gonna come back on. But
that's not crazy.
But their defense last year was 18th. They're 8th against the pass. No, I'm looking at Bengals. Sorry, 14th.
Yes.
19th against the pass. 7th against the rush.
Oof.
And I think their defense could have gotten better if it wasn't for Deshaun Kaiser putting their defense always on the field. Wearing out, they're passing. Obviously, getting to Randall and Ward.
Yeah, that's definitely going to help.
So. Right. And that's going to allow Myles Garrett to actually get to the quarterback more.
Oh, I forgot about him.
I think this defense might be number 2, but obviously, I'm going to go Browns. Yeah, I'm going to go Browns. I'm going to go crazy.
I like that. I like that. I like that. You're going on a limb there. It's a very good one.
Yeah, we'll see. Point. We'll see how it works.
That's cool.
I'm gonna have a lot of fans hating me right now.
All right. So you're going Browns number 2.
Yeah. But I think it's splitting hairs. I think Browns, Ravens are gonna be like neck and neck right there, defense wise.
For me, Browns were number 3 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was your number 2, Graven?
Number 2, if I had to, I would probably say Bengals. Honestly. Bengals, because I feel like their secondary is strong, and it's just, and of course their linebacking core with Vontaze Burfict just running things there. They can, if Vontaze Burfict especially, man. I know I keep mentioning him over and over, but that's because he makes himself known, man. He has such a big impact on the team. I'm on the defense, and just when he's going, man. He reminds me of a linebacker version of Ndamukong Suh, because with Ndamukong Suh, he obviously got a lot of penalties early. I mean, you as a Chicago Bear fan, I'm sure you know firsthand. But with Suh, you knew he had so much talent. And when this guy got his head on straight, it's game over, man. That's why I really want to see what he does in St. Louis. I mean, not St. Louis, in L.A. I always get that mixed up. So with Vontaze Burfict, I feel like it's the same way. He got all the talent in the world, but if he gets his head on straight, it can be dangerous, man.
And on the line, they got Carlos Dunlap, they got Geno Atkins.
No, they can put pressure on the quarterback, and that's why they were okay against the pass. They're 8th, but their rush defense was horrible last year.
Right.
I don't feel like they addressed it enough for me on the Bengals side too, because if your running game is working and destroying, they're not going to get. Then that means the pass rusher is going to have to slow down. They're going to have to look for the run.
Yeah.
And that could affect the passing game just as much. So, I see the Bengals bottom.
Okay, so you got Ravens 1, and you have Bengals number 2. Who's your
Mm-hmm.
third defense in the division?
Browns, then Steelers.
Okay.
Woo! Steelers finishing last for
Yeah.
defense.
We're gonna have some Steeler fans coming on this video.
So to recap, I have Steelers. I got Ravens, Browns, and then Bengals.
Yeah, I got Steelers, Browns, Ravens, Bengals.
Bengals. Okay.
Yeah. So we all got a different. I like that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We different.
Okay, so overall offenses ranking them. Okay, so number 1, I think we could all agree, right? It's the Steelers.
Definitely.
Okay, we're a lock there. Okay.
No question for that.
Number 2 offense. This was tough, but you go first, Ingraven. Go ahead.
Hopefully, my guy Alex Collins can do what he did last year. Now he'll be a full year starting. Yep. And those receivers can make it happen. But then I think about the receivers for the Browns.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got some weapons over there in Cleveland.
Ooh.
Sean?
And then it's tough.
You think about it too? It's tough, isn't it?
It's tough, actually. No, I know what you mean. You know what, though?
You know,
I've gone back and forth on this. I thought the Browns too. You know, like I love all their moves. But you know what? I'm thinking I'm changing my mind here. I'm going to put your Ravens there at number 2. The reason is, and I was talking to Josh about this before, is that I like Joe Flacco. He's not a great quarterback, but we've seen him outplay a lot of great quarterbacks. And when he's had tight ends, and he's finally got some tight ends. He's got a running game. He's got Michael Crabtree, who's a great route runner.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's going to benefit him there. He's got John Ross. He can blow the top off of defense, and Joe Flacco, we already know, has a cannon of an arm. So I might put Ravens there just because I look at it like this. I know what I'm going to get from Joe Flacco, right? I know what he could do when he has good tight ends. He's got a running game. I'm not Baker Mayfield. We never seen him in the NFL. Tyrod Taylor, we know he checks down all the time. So I'm going to say Ravens over the Browns.
So you're going Ravens number 2.
Yes,
offense,
I'm going to go Ravens number 2.
Okay. All right, I'm going Bengals. I'm going to go Bengals as a number 2 offense in the division.
Really?
Yes, because I think that offensive line, like I said earlier, is not going to be the absolute, travesty that it was last year.
Okay.
It's going to be still not that good, but it's going to be okay enough for these offensive weapons to, to do good. Okay. You got Andy Dalton. I love AJ Green's one of my favorite wide receivers in the league. John Ross, and then you got Joe Mixon, who I think is going to be one of the biggest breakouts of 2018. I think he's going to have a huge season. So I'm going to go Bengals.
Wow.
And then Tyler Eifert.
Wow.
Please, Tyler Eifert, stay healthy.
Those concussions, man.
I wish him a healthy season because if he is, man,
he's a talented guy.
That's some house money right there, Tyler Eifert. So, and then Brandon LaFell, another wide receiver. I think he's really good. So I'm going to go Bengals number 2 offense.
Wow.
In the division.
So I will have to kind of piggyback off him. When he said Flacco loves his tight ends, which he does, and now he has 2 athletic young tight ends that'll probably be his first and second tight end with Hayden Hurst and Mark Andrews. Yeah. But I think a big reason why this offense could end up being a number 2 offense in the division is because of Lamar Jackson. Not because Lamar Jackson is going to be playing on offense, not because they're going to be using him in any special packages, but just the fact that he's there. I know Joe Flacco hasn't come out and said it or anything like that, but you got to know. You're a grown man. You know how the NFL works. You done seen it happen. You've been in a situation where you end up taking somebody's job, and you were a first-round draft pick. Ravens had a quarterback in place, and Flacco was a first-round draft pick. He took that person's job, being Troy Smith. Now, 11 years later, same situation. Lamar Jackson, the first-round draft pick. You don't draft a quarterback in the first round to have this guy sitting forever. Now, while I don't think he's going to start this year. I think with Lamar Jackson sitting there, hopefully it gives Flacco a wake-up call. And Flacco knows that. I know he like I said, he hasn't come out and said it, but you have to know that he knows, since he's been in this business for 11 years, he knows that his job is on the line. Yeah. This season is everything for him and the Ravens with their relationship. Because I think if he goes out there and does another 22 touchdown, 10 interceptions type of season, then he'll be doing that for somebody else next year.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good point. That's a good point. Because he's a competitor. All these guys are competitors, no matter what. No matter what level, even if they're the greatest of all time, like Tom Brady, right? They're still competitors. And Joe Flacco's definitely heard the doubters, right? Put Lamar Jackson in. We don't want Flacco anymore. So it might spark a little bit of something.
Yeah. We might see a very dangerous Joe Flacco going into 2019.
Yeah, we might see the same one that outdueled Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and all those guys.
Oh, in the playoffs?
Yeah, in the Super Bowl run?
Yeah.
Where's that Joe Flacco at?
That's what us Ravens fans have been so frustrated with, because we know what he can do. We know what he has done in the playoffs. Because playoffs, Joe Flacco, I would take Joe Flacco in the playoffs over anybody. Outside the playoffs, it's a different story. But in the playoffs, I'll take him over anybody. But we just wish we could get that week in, week out in a regular season.
Kind of similar to the Giants and Eli Manning. Yeah, same.
Eli Manning playoffs, Joe Flacco playoffs will take him.
Oh yeah.
I feel like they're the same version of each other. One's just NFC version, one's the AFC version.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. All right, so number 3, who you got for offense?
Oh, I'm gonna go with the Browns. I'm gonna go with the Browns. Because with the Browns, I think. Because they always have a carousel at quarterback. And I know they said that that Tyrod Taylor is going to be their starter, but Browns naming somebody that started in week 1 means absolutely nothing. As we've seen over the years, I think last year, Kaiser was the starter week 1. Then it switched to like Hogan or somebody else. It switched to a couple different guys, and they love flip-flopping that. The only thing that remains consistent with the Browns has been the head coach. Everything else is just always turnover. Yeah. So I think with Tyrod, I think he'll definitely be on a short lease, especially, I mean, it wasn't like Baker Mayfield was a second-round pick, but he was obviously a first-round pick, but it wasn't like he was drafted at 32 or 30 or even 17. This dude was drafted number 1 overall. Number 1 overall. Sure. And I think the trend really started with Joe Flacco and Matt Ryan, because those guys, they came in and they started. There used to be when quarterbacks came in, they sat for a couple of years, even if they were first round draft picks. But now people aren't doing that anymore. They draft these guys for a reason, and even if they have to get thrown in a fire and get burned a little bit, that's fine. This is your future. You want them to start learning as soon as possible. So I think Tyrod will be on a short leash, and if he isn't producing like that, if he isn't really getting this Browns offense going, then I think Baker Mayfield could get in there. He could start lighting stuff up, and then if he has a running game, which he has some nice running backs, and then they have an offensive line, and then they have those receivers, man. Those receivers.
Yeah, we really like the receivers this year.
Yeah. All right, so you're going Browns. Sean, your third.
My third. Who do I have? My third. Offense, right?
Yeah, offense. So you got Steelers, Browns, and then who's your?
I have Steelers, Ravens, then Browns.
Right, Ravens, then Browns. Offensively.
Browns are right there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going Browns too, third, and I'm putting the Ravens last. Obviously. I mean, that's no disrespect to the Ravens. Actually, it kind of depends on a little bit for me. If Tyrod Taylor's starting, I think they play a little bit more conservative, obviously, and not too much upside there. So if Tyrod Taylor's starting, I would put Ravens over the Browns. But if Baker Mayfield is starting out the gate, I think he is going to be dynamic. That running game, I think they were 18th last year. Yeah, they're definitely going to be. They could be top 12 running game with all those great running backs that they got. So I'm gonna go Browns 3. Okay. Ravens 4.
Okay. Well, I already got Bengals 4th.
Bengals 4th.
Right. So. Yeah, same here.
Bengals 4th for you. Okay. All right. So overall. Judging by what we just already talked about, Steelers number 1. Yeah. Who's your number 2 overall team in the division?
In the division is Ravens, number 2. Reason being because Ravens have, over the past couple of years, they've been that close. Steelers have obviously been beating us, and been winning the division, but the Ravens have just been that close. Last year, they were literally one play away, or one play and one game away, because Antonio Brown, with that, if you watch NFL Network for even 2 minutes out of your day, you will see the commercial that they put where Antonio Brown doing a stretch play over the end zone. And then last year, of course, the famous 4th and 12 that we all remember against the Bengals.
That was sent the Bills to the playoffs for the first time in 2 years. So
So we made history in more ways than one. So they've been getting closer and closer and closer. But I feel like with the Crabtree, with the Snead, with the Brown, with the Alex Collins, with Joe Flacco, having Lamar Jackson sitting waiting, that's why I feel like the Ravens will be right now. They're my number 2 in the division overall.
I'm going Ravens number 2.
You going Ravens number 2?
Overall, Ravens.
Ooh.
I think the Ravens are going to win 10 games this year, at least.
Oh, wow. I would love that.
Yeah, wow.
Yep.
I'm going Browns number 2.
Browns overall number 2.
I'm going ballsy, man. I'm going
from absolute worst.
Yes.
To number 2.
I think. Well, because I look at it like this, they competed in so many games last year,
and
they got drastically better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They win some of those games, at least half of them. So I could see them being an 8-18 or 9-7, or give or take a game or so. Right? I don't think they're gonna have like 10 wins or anything like that, but I think they're gonna be right there, and they could even have the same record as the Ravens, in my opinion, right there at 9-7, give or take. Mm-hmm. So it's that's why it's tough for me. I think it's gonna be neck and neck for the Browns and Ravens.
Okay, and all right, so number 3 overall team in the division for you, Ingraven?
Number 3, I'm going Browns. And like I said earlier, Browns, I think they're definitely going to compete this year. I think they're definitely going to get at least one win over us in the 2 divisional games. Because like I said, they've been a tough team for a while. They just haven't closed the games out, because they've been in a lot of games over the past 2 years especially, but they just don't close it out. And there would even be times where I'd be watching a Browns game and I'd be like actually rooting for them to win, especially against the Steelers. But just like, and it's like, wow, they just would find different. They would be creative in losing. They would find so many different ways to lose the game. So yeah, I think they'll definitely be super, super, super competitive this year, and they'll be really close, man.
They finally got a guy that knows how to win at quarterback in Baker Mayfield, right? Mm-hmm. He was a winner in college. They haven't really had that kind of mentality coming in their quarterback position. So winning mentality is a big part of quarterback. So we'll see.
Oh, that's a good point, man.
Mm-hmm. All right, who's your 3?
Oh, I got Ravens.
You got Ravens?
Yeah, Browns. Right there, they're gonna be neck and neck.
Mm-hmm. Overall, I'm gonna go Bengals number 3.
Bengals?
Yeah, and I'm gonna go Browns in the basement. I think so.
They're throwing the Browns back in the basement, huh?
But not deep into the basement. They're not going to be 0-16. I think they'll win about 6-7 games.
Okay. All right. Well, I got Bengals.
I think Bengals win 7-8 games.
I got the Bengals in the bottom. I just can't put them up there.
Literally, maybe a game difference between the Bengals and the Browns. And I'll put the Bengals 3rd and the Browns at 4.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
So
what was your bottom? You had the
Bengals.
Bengals.
Bengals and Ingraven also had the Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals. Yeah.
Okay, so Larry, that does it. That's our thoughts on the AFC North. Is there any last thoughts, Ingraven, that you want to put out
big
there?
surprises that you might see for this division? Right? Any breakouts or I don't know. Good, bad, the ugly. I don't know.
Well, I think for Steelers, if their team can be even more dominant, if they can actually have a defense, a consistent defense, especially in their secondary. That's usually where they struggle, in the secondary. Yeah. I feel like Ravens, their biggest problem, of course, has been offense. They just need to wake it up from the beginning to get things done. Bengals, their biggest problem, what they would need to hurdle would be coaching. Coaching just that has to be better. It can't be incompetent as it has been for so long. Yeah. And for Browns, I think it's coaching as well. Coaching plays a big part, and just like you said, having that winning mentality, and that's obviously something that the Browns haven't had in literally forever, man. Yeah. But if they can get that, they got the pieces to do it. They got plenty of pieces to do it. And the thing about the Browns that's so scary, I was just thinking about it a few days ago. They have a lot of pieces right now. They got so many weapons right now. Yeah, but the thing that they have that can set them up for next year and possibly the year after that, depending on how they use it, they got salary cap room. They got all the money in the world to spend on anybody who they want. And if the Browns start to even look decent this year, say they win 6 or 7 games, some people can see that as a big improvement, which it would be after winning 1 game and no games. So they can see like, man, if I come to Browns, then I can make some stuff happen there. They just need me, and they need a couple of other my buddies around the league. They just need a few more pieces, and they'll be right back in the thick of things. So Browns can be dangerous in so many more ways than one. And then of course they've been drafting so good over the past couple seasons too. So they're gonna be scary, man. Yeah, they're gonna be so scary.
They will. Yeah. We're pretty hype on them. I know I have them finishing. As of right now, last in the division, but who knows?
But me and you both talked about we're impressed that
a lot of talent.
The best thing that the Browns have done the last couple of years is keep Hugh Jackson.
Yep.
Quit that carousel coaches.
Yeah.
Create consistency in the locker room, and that's how you do it. Look at every other team in this division, right? How long they've kept their coaches, right? Like. That's why every single
for better or worse, Marvin Lewis.
Well, even Marvin Lewis has at least taken them to the playoffs, right? He's had some good years. He hasn't won it, but he's made it. Browns can't even make it, so do consistency. Look at the Steelers. Look at the Ravens. They've had consistent. They've had Super Bowl teams because they've had consistency.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have the Browns last, but they have probably one of the most biggest upsides.
Oh,
I mean, they were 0-16 last year.
There's only one way to go.
It just skyrocketed, and man, do they got the tools to do it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it all turns out.
I'm excited.
And you guys be sure to look out for our season predictions. That's where we're gonna get a little bit more detailed with all these teams, like literally breaking down every single week of the season.
Yeah.
Maybe our opinions change by then. Who knows? I don't know.
Hey, you never know with injuries, right?
Right.
Injuries,
training camp
trades, signings. There's a lot of free agents out there. Like, that's Brian.
Right.
So you never know what might happen.
But we want to thank you, Ingraven, for joining us and giving us all that great insight that you provided. It was awesome. Absolutely amazing, and we're truly honored to have you on here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I appreciate y'all having me on here, man. This was a lot of fun, man. I appreciate it, man. Of course. So anytime you guys, if you want to invite me again, I'll be more than happy to come on, man. So thank you so much.
Absolutely,
we're gonna make that happen. And guys, everybody watching, make sure you go sub him up. His link is gonna be in the description box down below. Is there anywhere else like your Twitter and all that? You got the Twitter, right?
Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everything is IngravenVids. That's it. All one word, IngravenVids. So appreciate it, man.
Hashtag keep it clean.
Yes. Team keep it clean, man. That's what it's about.
All right, everybody. All right, we'll see what happens.
Yes.
And all right, see y'all later.
Can't wait. Peace. All right.